Backslash Kill Your Idols one shot from Image Comics. So for anyone who's new to this channel, I'm a huge Hack Slash fan. It is my favorite comic book franchise ever. Cassie Hack is my favorite comic book character ever. Not to say that like it's the greatest well-written series, not even close, but it's one of those where I just love it. So yeah, I had to check it out. So this is basically a collection of, I don't want to say anthology stories, but a collection of pieces of stories that were in an anthology series. And that anthology series is Image. Image is just, not only is it the name of the publisher, but it's the name of the series. And there's like a bunch of like one shots and like little teasers in there. For example, Radiant Black has some stuff in there. But there was, for multiple issues, there was just little shorts of Hack Slash Kill Your Idols. And this one shot basically collects all those and just puts it into one issue for your reading pleasure. And while I'm glad that they collected all that into one, I'm not the biggest fan of this storytelling because it was a bunch of shorts put together. It does tell one long story, cohesive story, but things are kind of like cut out. Things are just kind of, it's a weird format. Let's just say that. Let's get into it. So we have this slasher who's killing people in lakes. And no, it's not Jason. And so Cassie and Vlad show up at the lake where they attack the guy. And they beat his brains in. And they walk away because they think, well, there are no more slashers anymore. So now the killers are just regular humans or copycats or something like that. They're not undead anymore. However, as soon as she finishes beating this guy's brains out, he gets back up and starts attacking again. So Cassie's obviously like surprised, like what the hell's going on? I stopped the society that was creating the undead slashers, but now there's an undead slasher. And right before Vlad like stabs him in the brain and puts him out for good, he says the name Johnny Armstrong. And so Vlad and Cassie go to check out what's going on, and they get sent to this guy who's already an established character in the Image universe. He is the Superpatriot. And then that's how it ends, right? And you may be thinking, well, is that the entire one shot? No, that's just the first chunk. So then we cut to the next part, and we already have Cassie and Vlad, like they're running through some abandoned building, and they kind of are just telling us what we just finished reading. So they're recapping. And it doesn't make sense for them to do that in the one shot, obviously, because we literally just read what led to this. But because this is a collection of anthology, we get a bunch of that. You're going to get a bunch of recaps in the same issue. So it's like every couple of pages, you get a recap about what you just read. So that's kind of annoying. But as you keep going, basically they fight the Super Patriot. Super Patriot's like, wait, something's going on here. And yeah, he like teleports them to Washington, D.C., where he opens up this bunker where there's a bunch of other Image superheroes down there, all hanging from hooks. And they're basically like all undead. Like this is like the Project Reborn or something, Born Again. And then it ends. And then all of a sudden we come back to the next part. And so now we're in the middle of a fight. So Cassie, Vlad, and Super Patriot are fighting these Image superheroes. So it's just kind of like, okay, how did it go from them being in the bunker to seeing them on hooks to all of a sudden we're in the middle of a fight? And it's because of the way the anthology was put together. So this is what I mean by things getting cut out. So we see like things setting up because like you end on a cliffhanger, and all of a sudden we jump and we're in the middle of something, and there's a recap. So that's basically how this entire series goes. We get a couple of pages of something, ends in a cliffhanger, and then immediately starts in the middle of something. And you're kind of confused at first, and then we get a recap of what we just read. And then we get a couple of pages, and in a cliffhanger, jump to the next scene, and the next scene we're doing something different, or we're in the middle of something again, recap of what we just read. And that's how this entire issue is. So it can get kind of annoying in that way, because it wasn't meant to be read all at once. It was meant to be read in pieces as an anthology series. Yeah, we just have them like fighting the superhero characters, and then Cabot Stone shows up, and then he tells them like, hey, something's going down, this isn't right, these aren't people we should be fighting. And then they discover how there's this woman named Sybil, the Sun Sorceress, and how she created the Project Reborn. Like it was supposed to be like superheroes were supposed to be brought back, fight evil. It's very weird and convoluted. We even have this whole thing where there's this character named Damn It Jane who looks exactly like Cassie, and then as we like read this, we find out that Cassie is actually just a creation from Damn It Jane. That Damn It Jane is like the original like Scream Queen, Final Girl kind of, and then when Sybil created this Project Reborn and brought back all these undead slasher heroes, that it had created this weird universe, and that universe needed its own version of Damn It Jane, and so Cassie was made. And yeah, it's just it's weird, it's convoluted, it messes with like previous timelines and canon and stuff. And yeah, it's weird because this is from the original creators, from Tim Seeley, and we even have the original artist, Stefano Caselli. So it's like the original team, and they're doing this, but it's just a weird, convoluted, jumbled mess. And I'm sad to say that, because like I said, like I'm a huge fan of Hack Slash. I love it. I read every single Hack Slash crossover and miniseries and stuff that comes out. The more Hack Slash, the better. Like I want Hack Slash to be great. I want it to do really good so that we keep getting more of it. Because like I said before, it's my favorite franchise. So obviously I want to see my favorite franchise keep going and succeeding. And yeah, unfortunately, it's not all that great. Like I don't hate this, but I didn't care for it either. Like the story, I hate the way the story's set up because again of the fact that it's just a bunch of little shorts in an anthology series that's then strung together into a one shot. And yes, the shorts, even when they were made as one continuous story. But because of the format it was originally made, things get cut out. Things like, again, just hang on cliffhangers, not even a couple pages into this comic. So usually comic books have like a cliffhanger to get you ready to read the next issue. So there's multiple cliffhangers every couple pages, and it doesn't work when it's like that. Cliffhangers are at the end of an issue, not multiple times during the issue. So yeah, multiple cliffhangers, multiple recaps of things I've literally just read. Things cut out. So like we have one where Cassie's like jumping to attack Sybil, and all of a sudden like that's the cliffhanger, and then immediately cuts back and Sybil's dead. Like that's the very next panel that we see, and this is like, okay, so we didn't even get to see that fight scene. So I didn't care for that. I didn't care for the story itself. Like there's all these characters. Some of them I know, like Shadowhawk. Others I don't, because I just never really read those issues growing up. Like I did read some Image stuff, but I didn't read any of those characters. Mostly I kept to like Chaos Comics and Top Cow and things like that. So few stuff from Image I read, it didn't really feature these characters again, other than like Shadowhawk. I know of him. I read some of his stuff, but that was it. So it's all these characters I don't know teaming up, and maybe it's supposed to mean something, but because I don't really know, it doesn't really do anything for me. And it just seems kind of like, I don't know, like Cassie doesn't really fit in with this group, which is brought up in the story. So I did like that. But also, I've said this in like a previous thing, but Tim Seeley is one of those writers where he's great with supernatural occult stuff. So like if you put him on a John Constantine, he'll do a pretty good job, like, you know, with the Hellblazer. Put him on Hack Slash, he's good. Like he's good at telling like those little like horror action kind of stories. Well, he's good at telling them when he's not suffering from TDS. Because yeah, there's been a couple of series where he's it's just plain how much he absolutely hates Republicans and conservatives and Donald Trump and all that stuff, that it kind of took me out of the story. So when he's not just completely filled with TDS, he's good when it comes to supernatural, occult, horror stuff. He's absolutely terrible when it comes to superhero stuff, though. Every Tim Seeley superhero book I've read was garbage. Maybe there's some out there that I haven't read that are amazing, but every single one that I read was just terrible. And so here, it's kind of like a combination of supernatural horror stuff with superheroes, and the superhero stuff is what drags it down. Because it's supposed to be like a celebration of Hack Slash. This is the 20th anniversary. So I would have liked it if we just had a crazy adventure with Cassie and Vlad. Just have a giant one-shot adventure of the two of them taking out some kind of slasher or something. Like, that would have been awesome. Instead, we're introducing all these superhero characters, having this weird convoluted story about dimensions and dreams and born again projects and resurrections, and it's just weird. It's convoluted, and then just the whole anthology format doesn't work, and so yeah, it's just kind of a disappointment. So I'm hoping that before the year ends, we get the same duo working on another hack slash that just focuses on Cassie and Vlad taking out some kind of horror creature, some kind of supernatural, some kind of slasher. Like, that would be great. Leave all the superhero stuff to superhero comics. Keep them out of hack slash. So yeah, overall, I like the art. I like the fact that Tim Seeley's back. Cassie feels like Cassie. Vlad feels like Vlad, obviously, because it's the original creator working on this. It's great to see the original artwork from the series. So I really enjoyed that. It's just a shame that it was in a pretty subpar story. Hopefully the next one will be better. We still got the hack slash back to school that's still ongoing. So that has been pretty good. So yeah, hopefully we'll get another hack slash series as well by the same team. And yeah, we just go back to the classics. Go back to its roots. That'd be a nice little 20th anniversary, I think. So yeah, I'm kind of just rambling at this point. So hack slash Kill Your Idols is just a one-shot collection of I believe it was like 6 parts that you can read in Image. I think it was like issues 5 through 10. So yeah, if you already read it there, you're not getting anything new. If you haven't read it there and you want to read it, then you can just check out the Kill Your Idols one-shots. But yeah, if you want my bottom line take on this, as a huge hack slash fan, it was a bit disappointing. It wasn't terrible. It wasn't great. It was I'd give it like maybe like I don't know, like a C minus or something, 4 out of 10. So yeah, there you go. Hope that you enjoyed. Hope to see you next time. Take care. Later. Thank you for watching my video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you didn't, I still want to thank you for watching it this far, and I hope the next one is more to your liking. With that said, thank you once again, and I hope you guys and gals have a good one. Later.